Welcome back, everyone, to Lab 5. There's only one drawing this week, so we're just going to do Lab 5 Sheet 1. And it's a little faster, a little easier than the last couple of weeks. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in your course folder, go ahead and copy your master title block. Move it into Lab 5 Submissions, just like that. And we're going to rename that Lab 5. Okay. Lab 5. Sheet 1 and your initials. And with that, let's go ahead and open that up. So while that's opening, let's take a look at what we actually have to draw this week, which is this drawing here. So this is just some sort of, just like a bracket. Doesn't really necessarily matter, but we have some new notes here that we have not seen. For example, this 10-degree draft. What this draft tells me is that likely this is a molded part, either plastic or metal. Generally speaking, I have more experience with injection molded plastic parts. When you have an injection molded part, you need what's called draft, or it's basically a tapered edge. Usually 3 degrees would be the minimum amount of draft before you start getting pull lines on the part. And what it allows it to do is for the piece to slide nicely out of the mold. So that's what this draft is telling me, that this is some sort of molded part. And we have a 10-degree draft right here, which we will have to dimension. We also have a couple of hidden lines here for where these circles are going to line up, or I'm sorry, these holes are going to line up just like this and this. And then as usual, we are also placing the center line in to designate that it's the center of a cylindrical cut through the part. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So inside our title block, go ahead and change Lab X Sheet X to Lab 5 Sheet 1. And remember, this shouldn't be in a block anymore. This should just be this should be outside of the actual block, because that's what we did in our master title block in sheet 4 when we modified it. You should also have all of your layers. So make sure you're on the lines layer as we start out here. Actually, you know what? You might as well pop it over to holes, because we're going to do holes first. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my grid. And I'm going to start with a circle. So C, enter. And just like somewhere down here, we're going to start with the front view. So let's go ahead and make our first circle. So place that, D, enter for diameter, and 0.75 is going to be the diameter of our first circle. C, enter again, and just start at the midpoint of that circle. D, enter for diameter, and that's going to be 0.28, enter. And then what we're going to do is actually, we're going to highlight this circle and copy that, CO, enter. And you can just kind of select anywhere. You don't have to select the center. Just kind of select somewhere out here. Click once and then start pulling it out to the right. Make sure it's snapped at 0 degrees. And we're going to type 2, enter. So that's going to copy it 2 inches to the right. Now, with this circle here, now we're going to move this. So M, enter. And we're going to move that 1 inch to the left. So just kind of pull it out to the left, type 1, enter. And then we're going to move it again. So select and then M, enter. And just kind of pull straight up. And this is going to be 1.5 inches, just like that. And with that, let's go ahead and grab our lines layer. Also, you can go ahead and delete this page border here. Now that we've started in the approximate location, we can adjust our viewport later. Now, I want to get another circle. So C, enter for our circle command. Start at the midpoint of this larger circle, the one we started with. And we want to enter a radius here. So we don't have to type D, enter, or R, enter, because it's already asking us for a radius by default. So that radius is going to be 0.5, enter. And then we're going to do the same thing right over here. So grab your circle tool, start at the center of this smaller circle here, and we're going to enter a radius of 0.25. And then we can just go ahead and copy that, CO enter, up to the center of this upper circle here. Now, with that, we need to connect lines from circle to circle. However, and I may, yeah, see, it's hard to, it's really not possible. We want to have a line that's tangent to both of those circles. And if you recall, a tangent line is a line that touches a circle in only one point. And to do that, we can L enter to go into our line tool. And instead of just snapping, so right now yours might not snap like this. I have nearest on, which I can go ahead and actually turn that off. I was using it earlier. So you won't be able to even snap to the circle like I just did. So L enter for your line tool. And then before you click anything, type TAN enter for tangent. And then now you're going to have an option to snap to this circle tangentially. So now as you move your line around, you can see that it continues to only touch that circle at one point. So let's just drag straight down here. And before we place again, we're just going to type TAN enter and go ahead and click. So kind of seems like a lot of steps, but it's actually pretty simple. So it's just L enter for your line tool, TAN enter for tangent, click, TAN enter for tangent, and then click again. And we're just going to go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm going to go into my line tool, TAN enter for tangent, TAN enter for tangent, just like that. And the same thing, we're going to do it once more. Enter TAN enter for tangent, TAN enter for tangent, and then go ahead and click. With that, we have all of our lines for our basic shape completed. Now, before we do anything else, before we trim everything, we need to create this 1-inch radius right here. So how we're going to do that is we can use our fillet tool in kind of a cool way. So fillet tool, remember, is up here in the modify toolbar. We can type F enter for fillet. And then down here, it's giving us the option for, it's polyline, radius, trim. We're going to use the radius. So we're going to type R enter. And then it's asking us to specify the radius. So we're going to type 1 enter. And then it's going to ask us to select a first object and a second object. So I want to select this, like somewhere right in this area of this kind of lower line here that's tangent to our circle. And then we're going to select kind of somewhere up above on this descending line right here. Click, and that will just trim off what we don't need on those two intersecting lines there. And if we just throw a dimension on that, we can verify that that is in fact a radius of 1 inch. And now TR, enter, enter, and you can go ahead and trim what we don't need here, just like that. So as you can see, we're coming along. So we don't have a dimension for this outer offset here. So we're not going to be able to get that until we make our projection up to our top view. And then we can, we know the thickness of this part is 0.25. So how we get this outer offset is when we put that draft in, we can then project back down. And you can see now it will line up just like that. So this is how all this lines up. And with that, let's go ahead and make our top view. So we can go ahead and I'm going to use my Ray tool, R-A-Y, enter. Alternatively, again, under the draw drop down here, you can grab your Ray tool just like this. but I'm going to do RAY enter and then project straight up wherever I have, I call them like important lines, but anything that would show in the top view is where you put these lines. So we're going to grab the edges of our circle, the quadrants of our holes. We're going to grab our center points of our holes and the edges of our heart. I made a mistake here. It didn't snap properly. I'm just going to drop it just like that. And I'm going to put all of these lines on the construction layer. And with that, let's just come kind of somewhere right up in here. I'm just going to draw arbitrarily. I'm just going to draw a line straight across, trim off the excess line like that, and then highlight that line, O, enter for offset. And we're going to offset that at 0.25, enter. And now we can select above or below. I'm going to select above, just like that. And from here, we need to draw a line at 10 degrees. So remember, our polar snap should have a set that we can snap at 15-degree increments. So we could come in here to our polar settings. So just go to Object Snap Settings and polar tracking. So we can make this 10 and do it this way. So now we can snap just like that. Alternatively, and I'm going to set mine. Oh, there we go, right there. Alternatively, you can grab your line tool, start here at the bottom, and then just stay within this 90-degree quadrant here. Just kind of hover in this area. And I'm going to say just arbitrary number. So 1 inch tab 80 degrees. And that will give us a 1 inch line at 80 degrees from this point. So this point, drag out this direction is 0 degrees. This is 90 degrees. So that's what we did there. Just a little throwback to our first and second lab when we were using those distance and bearing inputs. From here, I'm going to mirror that line. So just select MI, enter, mirror horizontally by pulling a vertical mirror plane. And then I clicked N, enter, because we did not want to delete the original object. And from here, let's grab our fillet tool again. And instead of having a fillet at a radius, we're just going to fillet it at 0 radius, which basically takes two lines that are coming together, and it just extends them to a point. So F, enter for fillet, R, enter for radius, 0, enter for a 0 radius fillet, and we can click and click just like that. And that is the fastest way to connect these lines. Alternatively, you can extend, so EX, enter, and we can extend that and then trim. But again, doing it the other way, a fillet of radius 0 is probably the fastest way to do this. So again, F, enter for fillet, R, enter for radius, 0, enter for the 0 inch radius, and then we'll go ahead and just click and click. And with that, I'll go ahead and delete those two vertical lines. And the next thing to do, nice and easy, we could just select all of our hidden lines, which are the lines that are coming up from the quadrants of our circles. Let's just go ahead up to our line type and make those hidden too. And then we'll grab our center points, center lines, and we'll come up here and make those center too. Now with that, highlight both of these horizontal lines in your top view, TR, enter, and we can go ahead and trim off everything above and everything below. And with that, let's go ahead and select these lines. Alternatively, you can just go ahead and select one, right click, and select similar. So what that does is select basically everything that's on the same layer. So in this specific case, it did select our center lines as well, which is not really what we wanted, but that so that right clicking and selecting similar is one way to group a large selection, so you don't have to go ahead and like click, click, click everything. So with those hidden lines highlighted, let's just go ahead and make those hidden. And then we'll come here to our center lines. I'm going to put those on our center line layer. And then in LT scale, let's just type LT scale, enter. And let's make our new line type scale 0.5. So our hidden lines are showing up nicely, but our center lines are not. So I'm going to keep our global line type scale, which is what we just changed, at 0.5. And then I'm going to further reduce the center line type scale. So let's try like 0.4. And 0.4 looks like it works. 0.5, if I remember when I was practicing this, yeah, 0.5 will not, but 0.4 does in fact work. Also, I had you change your construction lines to the line type that we wanted. That was a little bit unnecessary. I thought it might have been easier to keep better track of what we're looking at with those construction lines. But technically, because we have set these layers up with those line types for these layers, if you just saw over my properties menu, I just changed all these line types back to by layer. So they and they stayed the same line type. So just keep that in mind there. Now with that, grab our ray tool. So RAY, enter. I'm going to put this on my construction just so it makes it a little easier to keep track of here. And now from where we have our draft outwards, now we can project that back down, and we're going to join this entire line or this entire perimeter and just join all of these. So highlight everything, join, enter, creates one nice polyline. For this, we will need to turn on our nearest. So go ahead and turn on your nearest snap. Highlight, O, enter. And then instead of specifying a specific distance, type T, enter for through. So we are offsetting through this point. Right, like that. There we go. Turn off nearest. And there we have our front view and our top view fully completed. So with that, let's go ahead and grab our ray tool again, and we're going to start working on the right view. There we go. And actually, I'm just going to take that first line and just copy it around. I think that that's easier instead of putting rays all over the place. Just like this. Don't forget the bottom here, this bottom quadrant. And then these center lines line up. So we have hidden line, hidden line, hidden line, hidden line, hidden, and hidden. So instead of just changing those line types themselves, let's just go up here and put those on the hidden layer. Just like that. And then let's take these center lines, go ahead and put those on the center layer. There we go. And then remember our center lines, we will need to show those at a 0.4 line type scale. So I just changed that line type scale right here. And with that, change over to our lines layer. And what we can do here is we already know we're not going to do our full 45-degree projection lines because this is it's just a 1/4 inch here. So what we can do is I'm basically just going to trace this shape out. I'm going to draw a vertical line, offset that by 0.25, and then just connect the dots. So L, enter for a line tool. Go ahead and just kind of draw an arbitrary line like this. Trim these top and bottom. Highlight, offset, O, enter, 0.25, enter. Go ahead and click. Now, just go ahead and connect, just like that. And I drew this first line a little short. That's okay. Just go ahead and trim that. And I missed a line right here. There we go. L, enter. Connect the dots. Trim what we don't need. And from there, we can just highlight those two vertical lines, TR, enter, and trim just like that. And the last thing we have to do here is delete these two yellow construction lines. And with that, we have all three views already drawn, and we just have to go ahead and throw our dimensions on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you now. Before we throw our dimensions on, make sure we're on the dimensions layer. And then we're going to have to change something in our dim sty. So go into DIMSTY, enter. Again, it's the same always, is the same as just clicking this button right here in the annotation toolbar. It's just the dimension style manager. We are going to modify our standard dimension. And under fit, our overall scale for our dimensions are going to be 0.5. And we're also actually going to go back into our dimension style manager. And instead of modifying here, let's just click new. It's going to be a copy of standard. We're not actually going to rename it for anything. So it's just going to be right here. Start with standard, should be default, and then use for radius. Click continue. And now when your new dimension style manager pops up, the only difference we're doing here is we're going to change our arrow to closed filled. The only one I think that you should be able to use is the second box. This first one should be locked for radius. So that's just going to be closed filled right there. Click OK. Click on standard again. Click new. Use for diameter dimensions. Continue. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. So on this one, you can do the first drop down. So click close filled. That should change it for the first and second. Go ahead and click OK. Oh, actually, for center marks, click none right there. Go ahead and click OK. Let's just verify. I just want to make sure on radius. I think we have to change that as well. Yep. So for our center marks under symbols and arrows, go ahead and click none. Click OK. So what we just did there was anytime, so I'm just grabbing my radius from this drop down here. Now, anytime we add a radius, it's automatically going to have the arrow, and the closed filled arrow instead of the architectural tick mark. As you've known, we've always gone and changed that manually in properties. But now we don't have to do that anymore. It is automatic. Go ahead and throw our radius dimensions on. Just like that. And you know what? Let's go ahead and change our overall precision of our standard dimensions to 2 decimal places. I'm going to go over here to primary units, change our precision to 2 decimal places. And there we go. Now we'll go ahead, grab our radius tool again. Just like that. Double click on this dimension. You can click the home key on your keyboard, or you can just click to the left arrow a couple times. In all caps, type true space, just like that, to modify that custom text there. And let's go ahead and grab our diameter tool. So with our diameter tool selected, go ahead and click on that. Pull a dimension off these circles there. double click on the 0.28 dimension. Once you're in here, you can click the end key on your keyboard, or you can just click the right arrow a couple times, make sure you're all the way over there, then just space and in parentheses, type lowercase x2 and parentheses. And let's just go ahead and throw the rest of these dimensions on. So after that, there's only one other dimension that can be, I guess, a little tricky, and it's that draft dimension. So I'll show you how to do that here in just a sec. Move these dimensions off just like that. As you know, I like to keep my dimensions nice and organized. Oop. Go. That's it for our front view. Now coming up here, point to point. There we go. We'll do the draft last. Let's just come down here. Oops. Hidden line to hidden line. Hidden lines there. Here, I could type out, but if I want to line it up, once I'm dragging it out here, I can just kind of come straight down and just click. That will line these up perfectly. And one more dimension here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and highlight all of this with a left crossing window and move this over just a little bit to the right so it's not quite so crowded. So I might go even a little bit farther than that, honestly. Just like that. That I think is going to work just fine. Now from here, we just have one more dimension to go. And the easiest way to do this, because if you see how it's dimensioned in this drawing, you can see that it looks like the base point for both of these leaders are going to be each of these 2 points. So I can illustrate that a little bit better here. And then obviously this point here, just like that. So we have this line to snap to, but we don't actually have anything here to dimension off of right now. So what we're going to do is just, I'm going to use my construction layer, L, enter for your line tool. And I'm just going to draw us a line straight up, just like that. Go ahead to our dimensions drop down and grab your angular dimension tool. Go ahead and click on both of these lines. You just drag it up just like that. And we can go ahead and delete that. And then just highlight this dimension, grab this little leader and stretch it straight down until it snaps perpendicular to the top horizontal line there, just like that. And then highlight that construction dimension. You didn't already put it on the dimension layer. Just go ahead and put that on the dimension layer, just like that. And that is fine. I don't change these to closed filled. I think I like how this looks here, just like that. With that, we have our full sheet 5 or lab 5 sheet 1 drawn, which is everything we're going to do this week. So pop it over to sheet 1 here. Obviously, I'm not quite centered on the page. So what I can do is double click inside my viewport, unlock the viewport right here, use the middle mouse wheel to hold it down and pan. Don't scroll in and out. Otherwise, you're going to have to change this scale back to 1:1. So just hold the middle mouse wheel down, pan until it's nice and centered on the sheet, just like that. PS enter will get you out of the viewport. Alternatively, you could just go ahead and double click somewhere outside of it. And with that, right click on sheet 1, plot. Page setup is hack title block as usual. Click OK. And as usual, we are going to be saving that to your Lab 154 course folder under Lab 5 submissions. And the title, as per usual, is going to be Lab 5, sheet 1, and your initials. And with that, save, and the PDF that you create is what you're going to submit to the Lab 5 Dropbox. And that is